What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. We are here for the penultimate round of Season 4 of our Jaguar racing career, and I am very, very excited for this one. It is, of course, the Portuguese Grand Prix, one of my favourite tracks on the calendar at this point. A track which we have done well at in the past. In Season 2, I believe we won here. In Season 3, we probably should have won here, or at least got a halfway decent result. Would it not have been for the very badly timed red flag that hit us, and as a result we ended up finishing P11 there, I believe, which was honestly a pretty good comeback considering the circumstances, but still a bit of a disappointing one considering where I was before that red flag. It just caught us out in a way that I wasn't expecting. But anyway, focusing on this season, we are currently 10 points ahead at the top of the championship, ahead of Lando Norris, who has been our main rival for the entirety of the later part of the season. You know, it's really started to emerge in the last 6 or 7 races, I would say, that it is going to be either myself or him for champion this season, and it's looking like it's going to come all the way down to the wire. Unless something pretty drastic happens here today, I can mathematically wrap up the championship. I don't think it's going to happen, but here's how I could do it. It would take a win and Lando Norris getting no higher than 6th, I believe, or it would take me getting 2nd place and Lando Norris getting no higher than 10th, or I think that's it. I think maybe if I get 3rd with fastest lap and Lando Norris fails to score, that would mathematically put him out of contention as well, but I could be wrong about that. So yeah, we will see how things unfold. Either way, I'm hoping that we'll be able to outscore Lando Norris just to make things as comfortable as possible as they can be going into Abu Dhabi, a track that I'm not that keen on. So I'd like to get the business end of the work I need to do done here today in Portugal over the course of this race weekend, and then hopefully we can just have a nice easy cruise to sort of, you know, P4, P5, that kind of thing in Abu Dhabi. But we will see how things unfold. In practice, I certainly didn't seem that fast. I did only do a run on medium tyres, so that explains why I wasn't in the top 14 there when most people did do a run on softs. But, you know, I was still fairly consistent around here, and I'm hoping that consistency will translate slightly into the race. But before that, we've got to get into qualifying, of course, and this is going to be probably one of the most important qualifyings of the season, I would imagine. It's quite difficult to overtake around here. You know, there are a couple of DRS zones, but one of them is quite short. So unless they can overtake me in the main DRS straight, if I get pole here, I should be a pretty good shout for the victory, barring any hiccups anywhere else. It seems like it's going to be dry for the entire weekend, which makes a change from last year, of course, when it was in fact raining in the race, and that is what ended up screwing me over a little bit. I boxed early. I believe when it stopped raining, I boxed early onto a set of soft compound tyres or hard compound tyres, I don't remember, slicks either way, and that was what ended up catching me out because there was a red flag before everybody else boxed, and it put me right at the back of the field. We're now here in Q1, of course. We did a pretty fast lap for our first run, but we improve on that even further on our second flying lap, and it's good enough for P7. So that sees us through quite comfortably into Q2, and hopefully we'll be able to make it into Q3 with no real hiccups, headaches, or any other issues. Lando Norris going 2nd fastest there, still a couple tenths ahead of us, so we're going to need to find a bit more improvement here, I think, if we want to make it through to get that pole position. No real surprises in the elimination zone there. Fittipaldi, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Lawson, De Vries and Stroll. The 2 Alfa Romeos of Joe and Tsunoda making it through, and then all of the other drivers in the top 7 teams that you would expect to make it through into Q2. Even though even though Haas have kind of started to catch up with the rest of the teams, it just doesn't look like they have the performance there. I don't know if maybe that's facilities driver-wise or something like that, maybe that's hampering them a little bit, but we will see how things unfold over the course of the next season, I'll imagine, and see if Haas can maybe get their drivers to move a little bit further towards the front. It's a 1:15.5 to kick things off on a used set of soft compound tyres, and we'll see what kind of time we can do on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. Looks like we might just barely be dipping in to the 1:14s here as we round the final corner. We're improving by just enough to get a 1:14.9, and that is good enough to put us P2 here in Q2. So hopefully we can continue that level of performance. That would be very welcomed if we could get that kind of result in Q3. Only Albon faster than us on this occasion. Norris does make it through, but only in P6. So hopefully we can out-qualify him quite dramatically as well. And we see Verstappen, Magnussen, Leclerc, Joe, Ocon and Tsunoda out here in Q2. Disappointing to see Magnussen out. Kind of strange to see Max Verstappen out as well, especially when you consider the fact that he's been on a decent run of form lately. I don't know how Brazil went for him, but I certainly know that, you know, Mexico and COTA were strong performances from him. So yeah, kind of weird to see him out here in Q2, but you know, I guess Max Verstappen's just not how he used to be. Definitely not competing for the title this season. Perhaps somewhat surprisingly, especially considering the beginning of the season. I definitely thought he would do. We did a 1:15.2 to kick things off in Q3 on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, and now we are going to be using a I say fresh, I meant used. We used those tyres before. Now we're on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, and we're going to see what kind of performance we can do, losing a little bit of time through the final few corners. It's a 1:14.8, and it's good enough to put us P3. Okay, so not the end of the world, maybe a little bit worse than I would have liked, but I'm still happy with that.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top three today. Albon, Norris and Robinson. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So it is Alex Albon bagging pole position here, but I'm almost certain he won't win this. I reckon it's got to be either me or Norris. You know, the script has already been written as far as the war between myself and Lando Norris is concerned. I reckon one of us is going to be walking away with the victory here today. Hopefully it will be me. If I get the victory here, if Lando Norris finishes even second, the closest that he can be to me in the championship would be 16 points, and that's assuming he gets fastest lap as well. So I think we have a really, really solid opportunity here to basically put one hand on the trophy, barring any major sort of hiccups in Abu Dhabi. I think we could be in for a very solid race here. It looks like there's actually a 50% chance of rain in the race, so we'll see if that happens as we get into the Portuguese Grand Prix.
The Formula One circus has made its way to the southern coast of Portugal this week, and it's preparing for what I expect to be a terrific race here in Portimao. 2.9 miles of track at Portimao, featuring 15 turns, 9 to the right and 6 to the left. A lot going on at this track, a lot of elevation changes that will affect the driver's braking and acceleration. Keep an eye out for the DRS zone on the final straight, as that'll be the setup for a lot of today's overtaking opportunities. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Alex Albon will lead us away from pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Robinson, Doohan, Hauger, Gasly, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Sainz, Verstappen, Magnussen, Leclerc, Joe, Ocon, Tsunoda, Fittipaldi, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Liam Lawson, De Vries, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. And we welcome Anthony Davidson to the commentary box. Ant, we're looking at the champion. They are on some run. What a season for them.
I agree. It's been a truly impressive season. But championship or not, I don't think they'll be gently cruising around to the finish line. In fact, with points no longer a concern, there's a lot less to risk. So we may even see a more aggressive approach.
No, because I'm not the champion yet, it is absolutely crucial that I bag as many points here as I possibly can. So while they are correct in their theory that I will be going for a slightly more aggressive approach, it won't be because I'm the champion, it will be because I have no choice. I really need to beat Lando Norris here, I think, again, like I said, to really cement my chances of putting a hand on that trophy. Now, the best way to do that is probably to mess around with the strategy a little bit, because I wasn't really happy with either strategy that they presented to me. I think we should do a medium hard, but I think we should box a lot earlier than they were suggesting, around lap 13 to 15, somewhere there. They were saying I should box maybe as late as sort of lap 17 or 18, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, no, I just don't think that that's a good idea. So I'm not doing it, simply. I'm going to make my own strategy here today. Hopefully it works out for me. When I saw everybody else was on softs, I kind of immediately concluded that I may not have gone for the right strategy after all.
Okay,
but
so
hopefully we will be able to make this work,
cycles,
and we will see how
how
things materialise as the race unfolds. Starting from P3, Lando Norris will start directly ahead of us. We're going to have the driver who I hope will be our future teammate, Jack Doohan, alongside us. Now, I am doing this voiceover before I've recorded anything beyond the Portuguese Grand Prix, so I don't know whether that is going to happen or not, so I can't comment on that. Obviously, I will have recorded it by the time you see this video, but yeah, I have no idea how that is going to that unfold, but we can worry about that in the future. For now, we've got a race to worry about as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've gotten a good getaway compared to Albon, but also compared to Lando Norris, and that means that we are going to take the lead here in Portugal, and that is exactly how I wanted things to go at the start here at the Portuguese Grand Prix. Now it is just time to try and hold on to the lead for as long as I possibly can. Lando Norris did think about going for a bit of a half-hearted move up the inside of me in turn 1. He definitely was close enough to probably go for it, but he's decided to back off for now. I think the last thing anyone wants, myself, Norris, spectators alike, the last thing any of them want is for me and Norris to end this championship by crashing into each other. I think that that would be a very horrible way to end it. You know, it worked for Michael Schumacher on one occasion, but then it worked pretty badly for him on the other occasion. So yeah, I would say that I would say that it needs to be clean, hard but fair racing between myself and Lando Norris, and there was no better example of that than when he went up the inside and we were wheel to wheel for a little bit there through that sequence of corners. I think maybe the only driver on the grid who might be interested in myself and Lando Norris crashing each other out is Oscar Piastri, because I do believe that he does have a mathematical chance of still being involved in the championship, although he's not even in the points at the moment, so I would say that he's going to have a pretty tall task to be able to get himself into a position where he could mathematically keep himself in the championship by the time we go to Abu Dhabi. But we will see how the race unfolds. You never know, maybe Oscar Piastri could have an absolute masterclass of overtaking and get himself right up into the podium positions. Somehow I doubt that's going to happen, but we will see how it unfolds. Now we get to the end of lap 4, and so far no pressure from Lando Norris whatsoever, and I think things are only going to get easier here. You know, his softs are going to start going off. Albon has gone for a move on him as well up the inside. Norris does just about manage to take it back, but the whole time that's only going to allow them to get further and further away from me, and those of you who have a particularly keen eye will see that the rain has started to come down on lap 5. Now I'm really feeling like I should have started on the soft. We could have just pushed hard on them, broken away from the cars behind, and that could have been it. But instead we find ourselves here, and you may have seen that thing flash up at the top of the screen just for a moment there. But if not, then I will show you exactly what happened in just a second. But there is, you can see on the minimap, a McLaren parked up out of this race, and yes, it is probably who you would expect it to be, given that you can see Jack Doohan on the timing tower. Oscar Piastri is out of the race, and with that, he is out of championship contention. He was only an outside chance for it anyway. You know, he's consistently been hovering around 20, 30 or so points behind myself and Lando Norris, and especially considering he failed to score in Brazil, or if he did, it was only minor points, I think. He may have already been out of contention, but certainly now there is no chance for anyone other than myself and Lando Norris to win this championship. So I can't wait to see how things go now, and let's see who can wrap this championship up, as we are going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. It's gotten too wet to continue on slick tyres. We've got no choice. We're going to be going onto a set of intermediate tyres and trying to make sure that we can keep Lando Norris behind us. We should hopefully be leading after the pit stop phase. Magnussen coming in as well. Perhaps a little bit of a blunder by the team to bring us both in at the same time, but hopefully there should be enough space in between us. But one thing's for certain, there's not going to be enough space in between us if we have a pit stop this slow. It's 5.5 seconds. Absolutely ridiculous. And not only is Lando Norris ahead of me now, but Jack Doohan is as well.
Okay,
so we're probably going to be in P3 after everybody else does their pit stop. I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. I was absolutely fuming at the time that this happened, and honestly, seeing this happen again has dredged up those emotions from earlier today when I actually recorded this. I was so livid that happened, because it's gifted probably the victory here to Lando Norris, to be quite frank with you. He's 4 seconds up the road from me. I'm struggling to even stay on the track. That's how livid I am. We are going to get ahead of pretty much the rest of the cars now, including Albon, so he was not able to pull off the overtake on me with my pit stop error, but I guess that makes sense given that he was out on the track on slick tyres in the wet. And yeah, I didn't really have any pace on these intermediate tyres whatsoever. You know, I'm on a dry setup, and I'm just generally not very strong in intermediate conditions. So Norris and Doohan both just pulled away from me, and now I'm going to have to pray for a red flag or a safety car or something to have any chance, as Sergio Perez attacks me there, and we do manage to keep him at bay. But, well, I'm going to have to hope that the track dries out pretty bloody sharpish if I'm going to have any hope of getting back into this race. So we are going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Most people choosing to stay out, but we are going to come in along with Perez and Verstappen and you know, a few other drivers, I'm sure. Actually, it's only Perez and Verstappen so far. Quite a few of them have stayed out. Norris and Doohan did stay out. So maybe there's a chance here when we go onto the medium compound tyres that we could catch up with them, and hopefully we can have a better pit stop than last time. But once again, a little bit of a problem. I can't believe this. Another 5-second stop. The pit crew, they don't want us to win the championship. Clearly, that's moved us behind Perez and Verstappen now. And no matter what happens, you know, I reckon even maybe a few more cars, if they box on the following lap, they could potentially get ahead of us as well. This is just throwing the championship away for us. Lando Norris is going to get a massive point swing in his favour as we make our way around the final few corners on lap 14. We switch to the replay camera here. You can see Verstappen and Perez are battling a little bit in front, and maybe that's going to allow us to get back in range of them. But yeah, this is just not what we would have wanted to happen here at all. Absolutely devastating. You can see here there is a Mercedes of Alex Albon who's managed to get out ahead of us, and also the other Red Bull of George Russell. They are all ahead of us. We've managed to quickly dispose of Alex Albon, get past him and make our way up into P6, but we're in P6. You know, we were leading this race, and the only reason that anyone has gotten ahead of us is due to pit stop errors. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely, utterly ridiculous. I haven't been overtaken on track once as we keep battling away with George Russell here, and hopefully we'll be able to get past him nice and quickly as we dive up the inside, and we do make our way back past him. We're back into P5, and now I'm going to see if I can set after Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen in the Red Bull and the Aston Martin, respectively. I am so furious about this situation. It is just ridiculous. You know, one pit stop error is fine, but two is unheard of. These are like the only pit stop errors we've had all season. It makes me wonder why I invest in my pit crew upgrades if they treat me like that. Perez and Verstappen battling away here. That's held up Verstappen a treat, and we are going to dive up the inside of him up into P4 now, and let's set our sights on Sergio Perez, get back into P3 at least. I think Doohan might be unreachable. He is 8 seconds up the road from us, but at least we might be able to get a podium here. We're going to dive from a very long way back up on Sergio Perez. We barely make the corner there, and that was absolutely not something we should have tried to do there. We've had a bit of contact with him, but, you know, rubbing is racing, as they say. Sergio Perez trying to get his own back now up the inside. Is he going to be able to make the move work? I don't think so. He's had to back out of it, and that is us through into P3, and now we are just going to have to see if we can consolidate this position. Lando Norris is 15 seconds up the road from us. If there's no red flag or safety car or something, there's no way for us to get back into this race. All I can pray for is a Norris DNF or, you know, a red flag, basically. I think those are the only two things that are going to save us here. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to hope and pray that this works out for us. I can't believe this. This is just so disappointing. You know, I wanted a nice scrap between myself and Lando Norris. Maybe we would have had lots of wheel-to-wheel battles. It's quite clear that he has a bit better pace than me, but if I'd been ahead of him, who knows? Maybe I would have been able to defend from him in the straights. It certainly seems like it's the corners where he's got the pace advantage over me. We have managed to break away from Verstappen for the time being, but I think he's closing back down to us, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we have him for company a little bit later in the race. I just don't understand. I don't understand how the pit stop crew managed to fuck it up twice. Ultimately, the second time, it didn't really even matter. The first time, the damage that has been done was already done. So we would have needed it to be, I think, like the first pit stop error not to happen, or either of them really. But you know, we pay the pit crew, and in return we expect the best, and today we did not get the best, unfortunately. But you know what they say, we win as a team, we lose as a team, and today unfortunately we lost as a team. I kind of don't know if I like that saying now I've said it out loud. You know, it's one of those things that lots of Formula 1 drivers say, but me kind of listening to it in my head, it kind of is one of those things where when you say it, it sounds like, oh yeah, we win as a team, we lose as a team. So, you know, if the team hadn't messed up today, I would have won, but because they did, I didn't win. That's kind of how that hears, or how that sounds in my head. I don't know if you guys feel the same way about that, or what the deal is, but it's certainly a weird turn of phrase, in my opinion. Either way, we are now going to be moving on to lap 26 here, and well, Verstappen has yet to really pose much of a threat to us. He is back in DRS range, and as we make our way to the end of lap 28, and I will show you lap 29 here as we make our way through. Verstappen is only a few tenths of a second down on us, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we come under a bit of pressure from him before the end of the race. Hopefully we'll be able to withstand it. It seems like we do have the pace in hand. Max Verstappen, despite the fact that he actually was knocked out in Q2, I remember I made reference to that, he has managed to make his way all the way through up into P4, so I'm sure he'll be very happy with his performance here, and maybe he'll want to cap off that solid performance with a podium. Much like how in Brazil I came through from P10 on the grid to get a win, Verstappen might be coming through from 11th on the grid to get a podium here, although I think maybe he was promoted up a position or two due to penalties. I think Piastri might have had a penalty if I remember correctly. Not that it matters, because he is the only retirement so far from this race. I don't know, maybe something will unfold, but as the laps count down and down and down, it seems ever more unlikely, unfortunately. Just did not happen for us on this day. No matter how much I wanted to get this victory and felt like I probably could have got this victory, we just got unlucky. With the pit stops, and that was the difference between a win and a loss for us today. It happens. It was bound to happen at some point this season, and hopefully we'll have got our bad luck out of the way in time for Abu Dhabi, where we can come through strong. And whatever happens, all we will need to do is beat Lando Norris. He has the fastest lap here, which I believe means he will take the championship lead, but only by 1 point. There will be 1 point separating myself and Lando Norris, and so all that it boils down to is who beats who. If I beat Lando Norris, no matter what position we finish in, I will be the champion. If he beats me, he will be the champion. The only way that will be not the case is if I finish 9th and Lando Norris comes 10th with fastest lap. That is the only way that he could still be the champion if I beat him on track. Verstappen goes for a bit of a half-hearted move there. I guess just kind of taking advantage of the fact I went a little bit wide, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Lando Norris does win here with fastest lap. Don't think anyone's likely to beat that. We've all been on medium tyres since about lap 14 or 15, so they're starting to go off at this point. It will be Jack Doohan taking home 2nd place, another podium to add to his collection, and I'm sure he'll be very pleased with that. And we are going to round the final corner to take a disappointing P3. I would have liked a lot better than this today. They're saying well done. I'm not really feeling it, but at least we still bagged a good amount of points, and the championship is still competitive. It could be anyone's game in Abu Dhabi, so we'll see how things unfold then.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. So, Natalie, what made the difference out there today?
Well, they managed their tyres to absolute perfection. A tyre whisperer, in fact. And that is what set them apart.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Indeed, a well-earned victory, which was earned through my pit crew making a mistake. But anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. It means myself and Lando Norris are going to be separated by just the 1 point heading into Abu Dhabi. I'm very happy to see Jack Doohan up on the podium again. He's certainly making a good case for me, at least putting in for him for next season, and we will see whether I'm able to get my man or not within a couple of videos. But yeah, just P3 for us today, unfortunately.
Lando Norris takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after that excellent result. So let's review the drivers' standings. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
It's got to be Lando Norris, hasn't it? Smooth, confident and assured. I've got no doubt that he and his team are going to be over the moon with his performance today.
Let's move on to the constructors. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Well, that certainly was an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Well, we're certainly looking like we are in a pretty good place to hopefully grab P3 in the Constructors' Championship. That's what we were aiming for, and it seems like that is what we are going to achieve, barring a very strong race from Red Bull in the final race of the season. It could happen, hopefully, for our sake. They just have a sort of middling race. But, well, honestly, it is in my best interest for them to do at least reasonably well, better than Norris, certainly. And wouldn't it be something if I do end up winning the championship at the expense of Lando Norris, but it comes at the price of us losing out on third in the Constructors' Championship? Because ultimately, that third place in the Constructors is what is going to get us the money. That's got to be my priority thinking about it. I can always go for another Drivers' Championship, but the chances of me getting it decrease drastically if we don't have the funds for it. That will come from our position in the Constructors' Championship, and more crucially, getting that sponsorship bonus for finishing third in the Constructors' Championship. So, yeah, like I said, it is of pretty critical importance, I would say, that we get that P3 in the Constructors' Championship, no matter what happens. It has been pretty close. Usually, in these seasons, it has been the Constructors' Championship that has been my sort of primary focus, because I've not really been involved in the Drivers' Championship. But it's kind of interesting how those priorities kind of shift. I've not really touched on it that much. Obviously, I have been keeping an eye on it, but I haven't said quite as much about it as I ideally would have in a normal sort of series where we have those sponsorship bonuses to worry about. I've been so focused on the Drivers' Championship, and for good reason, to be fair. We are going to be going into the final round of the season separated by 1 point. This is 2021 all over again, where Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, of course, were even on points going into the final race of the season. It just means it really is a winner-takes-all scenario. Whoever scores more points will be the world champion. And it really is that simple, especially considering I am the countback championship leader, if that makes sense. So if myself and Lando Norris do find ourselves in a strange position where I only outscore him by 1 point next race, then I will still be the world champion. We will be even on points, but I will win on countback. I don't know if that's ever happened in the modern points system of Formula 1. I can't imagine it would have done. Or maybe ever in Formula 1 that two drivers have had the exact same amount of points. It certainly seems very unlikely. One thing is for certain, I have my work cut out for me. We are on 100 difficulty and we're going into a track that I typically have very, very middling races on. For me to win the World Championship, I am going to need a lot of luck at the next race, I think. You know, we are going to need to really cash in on all the luck that we can muster. But that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.